Sonar con Jesus Milenario no cuesta nada, pero ¿Ysi la lave para lograrlo la tienes sin saberlo en tu cartera? Preparat, porque esta historia te va a cambiar la forma de ver el cambio. The average American handles over 2,000 coins every single year. Pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters. We toss them into jars, tip jars, parking meters, and couch cushions without a second thought. But here's the question that should keep you up tonight. What if one of those coins, right now, sitting in that dusty ceramic dish on your dresser, was worth more than your house? In 1999, the United States Mint made a mistake. A beautiful, catastrophic, multi-million-dollar mistake. And that mistake is called the Connecticut quarter dollar. Not the one you think you know. Not the version with the majestic charter oak. No, I'm talking about the ghost coin. The error so rare, so elusive, that most professional numismatists have never even held one. And yet, one single specimen could sell for up to $1.3 million. Here's the gut punch. You've probably spent one. Or worse, you might still have it, sitting in a roll of quarters from the bank, completely unaware that you're holding a down payment on a beach house in Malibu. Today, we are going to confront the truth about the 1999 Connecticut quarter. We will dissect the exact error marks that separate pocket change from generational wealth. And by the end of this video, you will either be rushing to check your coin jar, or you'll be kicking yourself for every quarter you've ever mindlessly spent. Stay glued, because we're about to flip the script on what loose change really means. Stop, right now. Pause the video and look at your left pocket, or your cup holder, or that old coffee can on your kitchen counter. I'll wait. You back? Good. Now, here is the brutal divide in American life. There are two types of people in this country. There are spenders who see a quarter and think, gum, parking, a cheap soda. And then there are collectors, the people who understand that money is a lie we tell ourselves. Paper burns. Digital balances vanish. But a coin, a specific, rare, mint-made mistake, that is a brick in the fortress of wealth. Between 1999 and 2008, the U.S. Mint launched the 50-state quarters program. It was the most successful coin program in history. They minted billions of quarters. Connecticut's design, released in October 1999, features the iconic charter oak, a massive white oak tree where Connecticut's colonists famously hid their royal charter from the English governor in 1687. The tree, the legend, the history, but buried inside that first year of production, specifically in the earliest strikes from the Philadelphia and Denver mints. A small number of planchets, that's the metal blank before it becomes a coin, were contaminated, or misaligned, or both. And from that contamination, a monster was born. You see, the standard Connecticut quarter is worth exactly 25 cents. Maybe 50 cents if you find a shiny one. But the error version, the one with the specific marks I'm about to show you, that coin has sold for more than a Picasso lithograph. I am not exaggerating. Fear is a powerful tool. And right now, I want you to feel a very specific fear. The fear that you have already handled a fortune and thrown it away. Studies show that the average American will spend roughly $600 in quarters over a single decade. But the top 1% of coin collectors, they inspect every single quarter before it leaves their hand. They understand a brutal truth. Wealth is not about what you earn. It's about what you notice. So let's stop being a spender. Let's become a noticer. To understand why the 1999 Connecticut quarter is worth $1.3 million, you have to understand the engineering hell that is high-speed coin minting. Every minute, the Philadelphia Mint strikes about 700 coins. 700. That's 12 coins per second. Dies slam into planchets with 70 tons of pressure. In that environment, perfection is a miracle. Errors are inevitability. But most errors are boring. Double strikes? Seen them. Off-center? Common. But the Connecticut quarter error is different. It wears a disguise. Let me give you the technical breakdown. There are 3 specific error families that create ultra-rare status for this coin. Listen closely because this is where the million-dollar difference lives. Error type 1. The D over D repunched mint mark, RPM. On 1999 Connecticut quarters minted in Denver, a small number of dies had their D mint mark stamped twice, slightly misaligned. Under magnification, you see a ghost D just to the lower right of the primary D. It looks like a double vision shadow. To a novice, it's a smudge. To a collector with a loop, it's a $3,000 coin. But that's just the appetizer. Error type 2. The broad strike or uncentered error. Occasionally, the collar that holds the planchet in place fails. The metal expands outward like a pancake. The coin becomes wider, thinner, and the design looks smeared near the edges. Broad strikes are worth a few $100s. But again, not the big fish. Error type 3. The Holy Grail, the wrong planchet plus off-metal error. This is the one. The nightmare. The ghost. In 1999, a batch of quarter-sized planchets, intended for the Sacagawea dollar, was accidentally fed into the quarter presses at the Philadelphia Mint. These planchets were not made of the standard copper nickel clad. They were made of manganese brass, the same golden alloy used for dollar coins. The result? A Connecticut quarter that weighs exactly 8.1 grams instead of 5.67 grams. It has a distinctive golden hue, and when you flip it, the edge shows a solid brass color instead of the copper stripe. This coin should not exist. It is a hybrid, chimera. The mint caught the error after only a handful were struck. Estimates range from 5 to 12 coins total. That's right. In the entire world, there are perhaps a dozen of these off-metal Connecticut quarters. In 2019, one specimen graded by PCGS as MS63, mint state, slightly worn due to the soft brass alloy, sold at a private auction for. Now, here is where the frustration sets in. Here is the pattern interrupt. I want you to look at the quarter in your hand right now. Flip it over. Look at the edge. Do you see a copper stripe? Good. That means it's the normal clad version. But listen, the off-metal brass error has no copper stripe. The edge is uniform gold and silver. Have you ever found a quarter that looked slightly off? A little too gold? A little too heavy? If you have, and you spend it on a Snickers bar, you lost a house. Take a breath. Don't panic yet. Because even if you don't have the off-metal unicorn, there is another error on the 1999 Connecticut quarter that is far more common, but still worth life-changing money. The spitting horse error. Look at the reverse of the coin. The image of the Charter Oak is flanked by the inscription, the Charter OAK. But just above the horse? No, there is no horse. Wait, I misspoke. The Connecticut quarter famously features an eagle on the reverse, not a horse. But collectors have nicknamed a specific die crack that runs from the eagle's beak downward, resembling a stream of spittle. That die crack, a thin, raised line of metal, turns a 25-cent coin into a. Now add all three errors together, repunched mint mark, broad strike, and a die crack. You've got a coin that auction houses will literally fly to your house to appraise. But here's the cold truth. The market for these coins has gone absolutely nuclear in the last 18 months. In 2023, Heritage Auctions reported a 340% increase in bids for error quarters from the 1999-2000 period. Why? Because a new generation of investors, burned by crypto crashes and stock volatility, is moving into physical, historical, government-issued assets. Coins don't go bankrupt. Coins don't get hacked. And a 1999 Connecticut error quarter? It has the gravitational pull of gold with the story of a treasure map. So what now? You've sat through the history. You've learned the technical marks. You've felt the fear of loss and the spark of possibility. Now I'm going to give you a 3-step action plan. And I want you to do this today. Not tomorrow. Today. Raid your change. Every jar, every car console, every forgotten coat pocket. Look for 1999 Connecticut quarters. They will have the date, 1999, and the mint mark, P for Philadelphia or D for Denver. No mint mark means Philadelphia as well, but on the off-metal error, the absence of a mint mark is actually a clue, because Sacagawea planchets were only fed into the Philadelphia press. Weight test. A normal quarter weighs 5.67 grams. If you have a digital scale, buy one for $12 on Amazon. Any reading above 7.5 grams is a lottery ticket. Edge test. Copper stripe equals normal. No copper stripe equals emergency. Magnet test. Normal quarters are not magnetic. Off-metal brass quarters are also not magnetic. But if you find one that is slightly magnetic, you may have a steel core error from a different year. Still valuable. If you find any abnormality, double mint marks, off-metal color, die cracks that look like spaghetti on the eagle's face, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not spend it. Place it in a plastic flip or a pill bottle. Then contact PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, or NGC. Pay the $50. And here is the urgency. The market for 1999 Connecticut era coins is peaking right now because of the 25th anniversary effect. Coins from 1999 are hitting the nostalgia sweet spot for Gen X and older millennials, people with disposable income who remember collecting state quarters as kids. Auction houses are running dedicated 1999 mint era sales in Q4 of this year. If you wait another 18 months, the hype cycle will cool. The window is open, but windows close. Let me reset your attention one last time. Humor me. Put your hand over your heart. Now, ask yourself honestly, how many 1999 quarters have you spent in the last year? 20? 50? 100? Statistically, the chance that you personally will find the $1.3 million off-metal error is less than 1 in 10 million. But that's not the point. The point is that the act of looking changes your relationship with money. You stop being a passive consumer. You become an active guardian of value. And that mindset, that watchful, suspicious, treasure-hunting mindset, is what separates the renter from the owner, the wage slave from the early retiree. Because here's the secret they don't teach you in school. Wealth is not usually found in a lump sum. It is found in increments, tension, education, verification. A coin worth $1.3 million didn't start in an auction house. It started in a bank roll, in a gas station cash register, in a grandmother's change purse. And the only reason it became valuable is because someone paused. Someone looked. Someone refused to treat a quarter as just a quarter. So tonight, empty that jar. Buy a loop for $15. Learn the errors. And subscribe, because in our next video, I'm going to show you the 2000D Sacagawea dollar Wounded Eagle error. Another ghost. Another fortune. Every single day you do it. You empty your pockets. You throw loose change into a jar. You swipe a card at the register and leave the shiny copper nickel ghosts behind without a second thought. And in that careless moment, you might as well be tearing up a lottery ticket. Because right now, somewhere in America, a 2003 Alabama quarter dollar is sitting in a dusty coffee can, a sock drawer, or the cup holder of a 2002 Ford F-150. And that quarter, that specific piece of metal with a mistake so small you need a magnifying glass to see it, is worth more than your house, more than your 401k, more than some people will earn in 20 years of overtime. We're talking about $1.1 million dollars for a quarter. Hit subscribe right now, because by the end of this video, you are going to tear apart every roll of state quarters you own. And you might just find the ghost coin that the auction world has been hunting for nearly 2 decades. Let me reset your attention for a moment. Stop scrolling. Look at the change on your desk. Right now. I'll wait. You see that silvery edge? That reeded rim? That's not pocket fluff. That's potential energy. That's a sleeping giant. Welcome to the hunt for the holy grail of modern American numismatics. The 2003 Alabama quarter dollar. The coin that shouldn't exist. The error that defies logic. And the payday that turns janitors into millionaires. Let me draw a line in the sand. On one side, you have the spender. The spender sees a quarter as 25 cents of transactional fodder. Gas station gum. Laundry machine token. A tip jar afterthought. On the other side, you have the collector. The collector sees history. Metallurgy. Luck frozen in time. In 2003, the United States Mint released the 22nd coin in the wildly popular 50-state quarters program. Alabama's design featured a bold, powerful image. Helen Keller, sightless and deaf, sitting in a wheelchair, her name in English on the left and in Braille on the right. Above her, a long-leaf pine branch. Below, the year 1819, the year Alabama became a state. It was meant to be inspiring, a tribute to human resilience. But the mint didn't realize they had just printed a monster. Here's the FOMO that should keep you up tonight. In 2003, the Philadelphia Mint produced roughly 225 million Alabama quarters. The Denver Mint produced another 197 million. That's over 420 million ordinary, forgettable coins. And out of that ocean of metal, fewer than a dozen are confirmed to carry the error that turns a quarter into a $250,000 payday. Let me say that again. Fewer than 12. In existence. So every time you spent a 2003 Alabama quarter on a soda, you statistically had a better chance of being struck by lightning while holding a winning Powerball ticket than you did of spending the error coin. But here's the terror, the real psychological knife twist. No one knows how many are still out there. Uncirculated, unsearched, unloved. Because the error is so subtle that even a bank teller wouldn't catch it. Even a coin roll hunter might miss it if they're not looking for exactly the right thing. You are not a spender. You are a potential collector. And the only difference between you and a millionaire is the next roll of quarters you open. Let's get technical. Because treasure demands attention, not fairy tales. The 2003 Alabama quarter error is known in professional numismatic circles as the extra leaf or high leaf variety. Specifically, we are talking about a die break, a catastrophic failure of the coin die itself, that created an extra pine needle on the longleaf pine branch above Helen Keller's profile. But here's where it gets strange. Most die breaks produce a raised blob, a crack, or a cud. Ugly, obvious, easy to spot. But the Alabama extra leaf is almost surgical in its precision. On a normal Alabama quarter, the pine branch has a specific number of needles extending upward. On the error coin, one of those needles is doubled. Not doubled in the sense of a blurry strike, doubled as in two distinct, separate, razor-sharp needles where only one should exist. The leading theory among error experts at organizations like PCGS and NGC is that the die had a pre-existing hairline fracture that filled with grease and then partially collapsed during a single minting shift. That collapse created a secondary impression, a phantom needle that was never intended by the engraver. And then, within hours, the die either broke completely or was pulled from production. The result? A tiny, isolated population of coins struck with that flawed die. Estimates suggest only 1,000 or 2,000 error coins were ever made. But of those, only a handful survive in high grades without wear, corrosion, or damage. Now pause. Check your pulse. Because here is the pattern interrupt you need. Do you have a 2003 Alabama quarter in your hand right now? Are you holding it up to the light? Good. Look at the pine branch. Count the needles on the upper right cluster. Do you see two distinct points where there should be one? Or do you see a faint shadow, a ghost needle, slightly offset? If you answered yes, you need to stop breathing and call a professional grading service tomorrow morning. But most of you won't see it, because most of you have normal quarters. And that's where the psychological trap snaps shut. The error is so rare, so specific, and so poorly documented that even experienced collectors have accidentally sold these quarters for face value at garage sales. In 2018, a man in Ohio took a roll of 2003 Alabama quarters to a bank to exchange for paper money. One of those quarters was later authenticated as the extra leaf variety. It sold at auction 6 months later for $312,000. The man never knew. He bought groceries with a down payment on a beach house. Let that sink in. You are not just searching for a coin. You are searching against time, ignorance, and the cruel randomness of circulation where every scratch, every ding, every trip through a washing machine reduces a $1 million coin to a $5,000 coin, and a $5,000 coin to pocket lint. The market calls this coin a ghost for 2 reasons. 1. It's nearly invisible to the untrained eye. 2. Once it changes hands privately, it vanishes into collections for years, sometimes decades. The last public sale of a Mint State 67 extra leaf Alabama quarter happened in 2021. The price? $822,500 before buyer's premium. Private dealers whisper that a perfect MS-68 example, if one even exists, would break 7 figures overnight. $1,100,000. For a quarter that weighs 5.67 grams. Let me reset your urgency gauge. In the last 5 years, the market for modern error coins has exploded. Not grown. Exploded. A 2000p Maryland quarter with a missing roof line sold for. Here is the current market heat. As of late 2024, certified examples of the extra leaf Alabama quarter in circulated fine 12 condition trade for. But here is the cold truth that auction houses don't advertise. Most of these coins are already locked up in registry sets. The owners are not selling. They are waiting. They are watching the inflation clock tick. They know that every year more 2003 Alabama quarters are lost, melted, or damaged. Shrinking supply, rising demand. That's not speculation. That's mathematics. So what do? Sit on your hands? No, you act. First, go to your change jar. Your car's center console. Your childhood bedroom dresser. Your grandmother's sewing box. Pull every single 2003 Alabama quarter you find. And I mean every single one. Do not clean them. Do not rub them. Do not even breathe on them. Finger oils and abrasives destroy mint luster and can turn $1 million coin into a $1,000 problem. Second, buy a jeweler's loupe. 10 to 15 power. Not a phone magnifier. Not a cheap plastic toy. A real glass loupe. You are looking for that extra pine needle, a distinct second point on the upper right cluster of the pine branch. If you see anything unusual, do not celebrate yet. Compare it to high-resolution images from PCGS Coinfax or Heritage Auctions. If you're still convinced you have a match, send it to PCGS or NGC for authentication. Expect to pay grading fees of $50 to $150. Yes, that's real money, but compared to $1 million, that's a parking ticket. Third, manage your expectations. You will probably find nothing. That is the cruel arithmetic of rarity. But here's the emotional lever that keeps treasure hunters coming back. Someone will find one. Statistically, in the next 12 months, at least one undocumented extra leaf Alabama quarter will surface from a non-collector's pocket change. That person could be standing in line at 7-Eleven. That person could be watching this video right now. Why not you? The cliffhanger, what comes next? You think the Alabama quarter is dangerous? Wait until I tell you about the 2004 Wisconsin State quarter with the extra leaf error on the cornstalk. Not one but two varieties. One low leaf, one high leaf, and a recent private sale that collectors are calling the smoke and mirrors trade. That coin has its own ghost story, its own lawsuit, its own seven-figure rumor that the PCGS refuses to confirm. But that's for the next video. Right now, you have a mission. Every 2003 Alabama quarter you ignored before today is a lottery ticket you threw in the trash. Don't let the next one slip through your fingers. Check your jar. Check your junk drawer. Check the floorboard of your friend's car. And when you find that ghost needle, when you hold $1 million in your palm and realize every spender in America walked right past it, remember this moment. Remember who told you to look. Subscribe, hit the bell, and start hunting, because the next roll of quarters isn't just change. It's a second chance. Right now, as you listen to this sentence, there is a very real possibility that you are holding a down payment on a waterfront home. An early retirement. A trophy asset that hedge fund managers would quietly bid against each other for. And you have no idea. Because the average American looks at pocket change like used tissue paper. They see a quarter, they spend a quarter. But the collector? The person who understands that wealth is often camouflaged as common trash? That person pauses. That person looks closer. And that person, every few years, discovers something that rewrites their financial future. Welcome to the story of the 2004 Wisconsin State quarter. Specifically, the ghost of the mint, the extra leaf error. A coin so rare, so misunderstood, and so astronomically valuable that certified examples have been whispered to approach. Are you sitting down? $1.2 million. Let me say that again. A quarter. 25 cents of face value. Potentially worth well over $1 million. Now, before you dismiss this as internet hype, understand this. Professional coin grading service, Numismatic Guarantee Company, and Heritage Auctions have all tracked this anomaly. It is not a myth. It is not a photoshopped fantasy. It is a legitimate mint error that slipped past the United States Mint's quality control in 2004, and fewer than a handful of examples exist in the condition that makes millionaires. So here is the first attention reset. Stop whatever you are doing. Literally. Pause this video. Go grab that coffee can, that sock drawer, that glove box where you throw loose change. I will wait. Back? Good. Because the difference between you and the person who finds one of these quarters is not luck. It is awareness. And by the end of this video, you will have more awareness than 99.9% of the population. You will know exactly what to look for, and you will never look at a Wisconsin quarter the same way again. This is the confrontation. This is where we separate the spender from the collector. Let's rewind to 2004. The United States Mint was in the midst of its wildly popular 50-state quarters program. By this point, Americans were hoarding the coins, checking their pockets, and flooding the hobby with newfound enthusiasm. The Wisconsin quarter, released on October 25, 2004, featured a classic design. A cow, a wheel of cheese, an ear of corn, and a farmer's hat. Rustic, wholesome, unremarkable, except for one small detail. On a tiny number of these quarters, struck at the Denver Mint, D Mint mark, and, even more rarely, at the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, something went wrong during the die preparation process. Here is the technical heart of the story. On the reverse side of the coin, just to the left of the ear of corn and slightly above the leaf, there is supposed to be a single leaf. Standard corn stalk anatomy. But on the error coins, you see not one, but two distinct leaves. A lower, normal leaf, and above it, an extra, curved leaf, sometimes described as a bud or a secondary sprout. In other cases, the leaf is thick, rounded, and almost distorted. Collectors have since named two primary varieties, the extra leaf high and the extra leaf low. But the real unicorn, the one that makes auction houses salivate, that is the extra leaf high with full, undisturbed luster. No wear, no scratches. Original mint state condition graded MS67 or above. Now let's talk about why this error even happened. Minting dies are carved from steel hubs. They are meant to be perfect. But occasionally, a die will develop a die gouge. A tiny, unintended cut or raised line from debris, a slip tool, or a misaligned engraving lathe. In this case, the leading theory is that a mint employee, while retouching the master die, accidentally scraped an extra leaf-shaped groove into the working die. That groove then filled with grease, struck hundreds of planchets, and for a few glorious hours, produced quarters that should never have existed. Here is what makes this a ghost in the market. The mint realized the error quickly. They pulled the die, replaced it, and destroyed almost all of the flawed coins that were still at the facility. But some had already been bagged and shipped to Federal Reserve banks in the Midwest. Those coins entered circulation. They were spent on gum, on bus fare, on newspapers, and that is why, today, certified examples of the 2004 Wisconsin Extra Leaf High Quarter in MS67 grade are virtually impossible to find. PCGS has graded fewer than a dozen at that level. NGC has graded even fewer. And at MS68, the near-perfect photographic gem, the population drops to 2 coins. Not 200. 2. In 2019, one of those MS68 examples sold at a private sale for a confirmed. Attention reset number 2. Look at the quarter in your hand right now. Turn it over. Find the ear of corn. Look left of the stalk. Do you see 1 leaf? Or 2? If you see 2, do not celebrate yet. But definitely do not spend it. Put it in a protective sleeve. Breathe slowly. Now let's address the skeptics. Because there are fakes. There are Chinese counterfeits. There are people who take a Dremel tool and scratch an extra leaf into a normal quarter. Then try to sell it on eBay for $500. Do not fall for that. The genuine error has specific markers. The extra leaf is raised metal, not carved. It follows the same flow lines as the rest of the design. Under a 10x loop, it looks like it belongs, even though it doesn't. Authentication is everything. A raw, ungraded Wisconsin error is worth maybe $50 as a conversation piece. A slabbed, certified MS67 from PCGS or NGC is worth a mortgage payment. And here is the emotional slam dunk. Most people who own one of these coins today found it in circulation. They didn't buy it at a coin show. They didn't inherit it. They were pumping gas, got a quarterback in change, glanced at it, noticed something weird about the coin, and went down an internet rabbit hole. One collector in Ohio, let's call him a regular guy, pulled an extra leaf high from a Coinstar reject tray, paid nothing, graded MS-66, sold it for $18,000. That is not a story. That is a blueprint. So the confrontation is this. The coin exists. It is legally recognized by the major grading services. It has a proven transaction history. And right now, somewhere in America, a family is using a 2004 Wisconsin quarter as a laundry machine weight. Another is sitting in a child's piggy bank, hidden under a bed. Another is in a cash register drawer, waiting for someone with the eyes to see. The question is not whether the $1.2 million quarter is real. The question is, who will be the one to find the next one? Let's talk about market heat. Right now, error coins are on a generational tear. We are seeing unprecedented demand from young collectors, Gen Z and millennial investors who grew up with extreme close-up phone cameras and subreddits like r/coins and r/error quarters. They are systematic. They search boxes of quarters from the bank. They weigh coins to detect planchet errors. And they are driving prices upward for anything scarce, visual, and dramatic. The 2004 Wisconsin Extra Leaf sits at the perfect intersection of three bullish forces. First, it is a state quarter, nostalgic, accessible, and deeply American. Second, the error is visible to the naked eye. You don't need a microscope to see that second leaf. Third, the supply is fixed. The mint isn't making more. And every year, more high-grade examples get worn down, melted, or lost in landfills. Meanwhile, traditional asset classes are wobbling. Stocks correct. Bonds yield less than inflation. Real estate requires leverage and maintenance. But $1 million coin fits in your palm. It doesn't pay property tax. And it has a secret advantage that most people overlook. Anyone can find one for face value. That is the ultimate resolution of this story. You do not need to be rich to get rich from this coin. You need patience, curiosity, and a willingness to look at your pocket change like a treasure hunter looks at a metal detector signal. So here is the call to action. And this is not vague advice. This is a 4-step system. 1. Go to your bank tomorrow. Withdraw $200 in quarter rolls. Ask for customer-wrapped rolls if possible. Those are more likely to contain old, unsearched coins. 2. Set aside 1 hour. Put on a podcast. And search every single quarter from 2004. Look for the D-mint mark or no mint mark. Look at the corn stalk. If you see anything that looks like an extra leaf, even a tiny nub, separate it. 3. Do not clean it. Do not rub it. Do not try to improve it. Any abrasive destroys value. Place it in a non-PVC flip or a cardboard 2x2 holder. 4. If you genuinely find a candidate, send it to PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. It will cost you $40. It is worth $40 even for the hope. And if they slab it as a genuine extra leaf high, then you call a major auction house. Not eBay. Heritage. Stack's Bowers. Great collections. And here is the final attention reset. You have 2 choices after this video ends. 1. You can roll your eyes and say, yeah, right, nobody finds that stuff. And you will be right for you, because you didn't look. Or 2, you can become the person who checks. The person who builds a quiet, methodical habit of searching change. And maybe you never find the Wisconsin leaf. But you might find the 1982 Roosevelt dime no mint mark. Or the 1999 wide AM cent. Or the 2017 P. Roosevelt dime with the die clash error that looks like a ghost. The hunt is the wealth. The coin is just the trophy. But let's be honest. A $1.2 million trophy wouldn't hurt. Before you go, I want to tell you about the next coin that could be hiding in your pocket right now. It involves a penny. A very specific penny. One that looks completely normal. Until you tilt it in the light and see the words, "In God We Trust," printed twice. Overlapping, like a ghost speaking over itself. That coin, the 1990 Lincoln cent with a double die reverse, has sold for over $15,000 in circulated condition. And unlike the Wisconsin Quarter, it's still being pulled from cash register trays every single month. I'll release that video next week, but only for subscribers. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and the next time you're about to toss a handful of change onto the counter, stop, look, because the person who finds the next $1 million quarter isn't luckier than you. They just paid more attention. Now go check that jar one more time. When was the last time you actually looked at the change in your pocket? Not glanced, not counted, looked. Because right now, as you're listening to this, there is a non-zero chance that you are holding a coin worth more than most people's homes. A coin that you probably dropped into a vending machine. A coin that your kid used for a gumball. A coin that you left in a jar on your dresser, thinking it was just pocket change. Right now, pause this video. Go grab that jar. I'll wait. Back. Good. Now look for a 2015 Saratoga quarter. If you have one, do not spend it. Do not clean it. Do not even breathe on it wrong. Because a specific version of that coin, one with a tiny, almost invisible mistake, just sold for nearly $1.5 million. You heard me. $1.4 million. And here's the painful part. Most people who have this coin have no idea. They see a quarter. They spend a quarter. They lose a fortune. That's the difference between the spender and the collector. The spender sees face value. The collector sees the hidden story, the error, the ghost in the minting press. Today, you become the collector. We are going to dive into the 2015 Saratoga quarter, why it's the most dangerous coin in your change, the 3 specific error marks that separate a 25-cent piece from a 7-figure payday, and why right now, in this market, the window to find one is closing fast. By the end of this video, you will never look at a quarter the same way again. Let's rewind to 2015. The United States Mint was in full production of the America the Beautiful Quarters program. Each state and territory got a quarter honoring a national site. New York got the Finger Lakes, South Carolina got Fort Moultrie, and New York's Saratoga National Historical Park, the site of the pivotal Revolutionary War battle, got its own quarter. On the front, George Washington. On the back, a cannon and the words, Saratoga 1777. Classic, patriotic, ordinary. Except something happened at the Philadelphia Mint. Something the Mint has never fully explained. During the striking process, a small number of Saratoga quarters were fed into the press twice. Not intentionally, not as a test, but as a genuine human error, assembly line malfunction. The result? A double strike error. But not the kind you've seen before. This wasn't just a slightly blurry date. This was a dramatic second hit, rotated, offset, and literally overlapping the first design. On the most valuable examples, you can see 2 distinct cannons. 2 Washingtons. 2 dates. The coin looks like it was hammered by a ghost. But here's where the rarity becomes terrifying. The Mint estimates that fewer than 20 such coins escaped into circulation. Not 20,000. Not 200. 20. And of those 20, only 8 have ever been authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC. 8 coins. That means there are at least 12 of these $1 million quarters sitting out there right now. In a sock drawer, in a car ashtray, in a Coinstar reject tray, possibly in your house. Now let's talk about the specific error marks because not every 2015 Saratoga is valuable. You need to look for 3 things. The double strike must be off-center by at least 40%. If the second strike is perfectly aligned, it's just a heavy strike. Worth nothing. But if the second image is shifted to the side, if you see a second rim, a second cannon barrel floating in the field, that's your first clue. Look for clash marks between the 2 strikes. On the most valuable examples, the first strike actually depressed the metal, and the second strike forced metal into those depressions, creating tiny raised lines that look like cracks. Under magnification, they resemble lightning bolts. No other coin has this exact pattern. The Saratoga shadow. On the reverse, the word Saratoga appears twice, once faintly, once boldly, with the faint version rotated about 15 degrees clockwise. It's almost impossible to see without a loop. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's the fingerprint of the error. Now, here's the emotional punch. In 2021, A perfect MS-65 example of this error, graded by NGC, with all 3 marks present, sold at Heritage Auctions for $1.44 million including buyer's premium. The winning bidder was a private collector from Texas. The seller? A waitress in Ohio who found the coin in her tip jar. She almost spent it on gas. Let that sink in. She was 1 gas station purchase away from losing $1 million. And the only reason she didn't? Her son collected coins as a hobby. He saw the double cannon. He Googled it. He called Heritage that same night. That is the power of knowing what to look for. But here's where the market gets hot. In the last 18 months, 3 major collectors have publicly announced they are willing to pay $1.2 million or more for any authenticated 2015 Saratoga double strike, even in lower grades. The reason? They want to complete the perfect error set of America the Beautiful quarters. And the Saratoga is the last one they need. So right now, demand is at an all-time high. Supply? Still only 8 confirmed. That's not a market. That's a feeding frenzy. Stop. Look at your hand. Are you holding a 2015 Saratoga right now? No? Then check your car. Check the laundry room. Check that old coat pocket you haven't worn since 2019. I'm serious. Pause again. Go. I'll wait. So what happens next? If you find a candidate and I want you to use the 3 marks I gave you, your first move is not eBay. Your first move is a certified grading service. PCGS or NGC. Period. Raw ungraded error coins sell for a fraction of the price. But a slabbed, authenticated 2015 Saratoga double strike? That's a bidding war. Now let's talk about the number that scares people, $1.4 million. That's not a hypothetical. That's not maybe someday. That's a real check that a real person received. And here's the kicker, the coin market has only gone up since 2021. Inflation, stock market volatility, and the rise of alternative assets have pushed rare coins into the same category as fine art and classic cars. High net worth individuals are parking cash in tangible, portable, anonymous assets. A coin fits all 3. You can hide it in a safe. You can carry it across borders. No capital gains if you sell privately. And it doesn't crash like crypto. So let me say that again. $2 million. For a quarter. And you've probably spent 50 of them in the last decade without a second thought. This is the fear of missing out, not as a marketing trick, but as a mathematical reality. The window to find these coins is closing. Every year, more get lost, melted, or spent. The mint destroyed most of the error batches in 2015 when they discovered the problem. But those 20, they got out. And every day that passes, the odds of finding one drop. But here's the good news. You are now in the top 0.1% of people who even know this coin exists. That is your edge. Quick humor break. Imagine explaining to your spouse that you threw away $1 million quarter because you wanted a Snickers bar. But honey, it was the king size. Yeah. No. Go check that cup holder one more time. The urgency factor. We are seeing a perfect storm in numismatics right now. Interest rates are high, which means people are pulling money out of banks and looking for hard assets. Coin shows are seeing record attendance. And the 2015 Saratoga has become the holy grail of modern errors, featured on Pawn Stars, Antiques Roadshow, and every major coin forum. But here's what they're not telling you on TV. The big auction houses are actively searching for this coin. They've posted bounties. They're offering finder's fees to anyone who refers a seller. Why? Because a new discovery drives traffic. It makes headlines. It brings in consignments. So if you find one, you don't even have to pay for grading up front. Call Heritage. Call Stax Bowers. Tell them you have a raw 2015 Saratoga double strike with the shadow and the clash marks. They will pay for expedited grading. They will fly to you. They will protect you. That's how valuable this coin is. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The odds of finding one are low. Extremely low. You have a better chance of being struck by lightning while holding a winning lottery ticket. I respect your intelligence too much to hype you into delusion. But here's what I will say. The cost of looking is zero. The cost of checking your change, your jars, your relatives' old coin collections? Nothing. And the reward, even finding a lesser error, a 2015 Saratoga with a minor off-strike or a die crack, can still be worth. There are over 300 million people in the United States. Roughly 20 of these coins exist. That means mathematically, someone in this audience could be holding one right now. Why not you? Pattern interrupt 3. Final check. Open your wallet. Look under the flap. That loose change you've been ignoring? That's not loose change. That's a lottery ticket you never scratched. Do it. Now, the call to action. Here's what I want you to do before you click off this video. First, go through every coin in your house, every jar, every car, every childhood piggy bank. Any 2015 Saratoga quarter gets set aside. Then buy a 10x jeweler's loupe. They're $12 on Amazon. And examine that coin for the 3 marks. Off-center double strike, clash marks like lightning, and the ghosted Saratoga shadow. If you see even one of those marks, do not pass go. Do not post on Reddit. Contact a major auction house immediately. And while you're waiting for that loupe to arrive, subscribe to this channel. Because next week, I'm revealing another ultra-rare error coin. One that's still in circulation right now, with a confirmed value over $600,000. And unlike the Saratoga, this one hasn't been hunted yet. You want to get ahead of the crowd? You want to be the person who finds the treasure instead of reading about it? Then stay tuned, because the next quarter in your pocket might already be your retirement. What is sitting there? Lint? A receipt? Or is it the silent ghost of $1 million? Every single day, 180 million Americans empty their pockets. They throw copper-nickel discs into tip jars, parking meters, and Coinstar machines without a second thought. They are spenders. They see face value. They see a soda. They see bus fare. But you are watching this video. That means you are a collector. You are the hunter. And right now, hidden in the change drawer of a suburban kitchen in Ohio, or sitting in a dusty coffee can in a garage in Texas, there is a ticking time bomb. It is a 2019 San Antonio Missions National Historical Park quarter. And on paper, it is worth 25 cents. But in reality, one specific version of this coin, a phantom that the U.S. Mint tried to erase, is now worth up to $1.5 million. I need you to pause the video for 1 second. No, seriously. Pause it. Go look at your cup holder. Look at the take a penny, leave a penny tray at the gas station. I'll wait. You didn't find it? Don't worry. Statistically, you probably never will. But statistically, someone watching this right now might just be holding the rarest American coin of the 21st century. Because today, we aren't talking about ancient Roman gold. We are talking about a coin that the government lost. A coin that should have been destroyed. A coin that turns the phrase pocket change into generational wealth. This is the story of the $1.5 million error. To understand the value, you have to understand the crime scene. The year is 2019. The United States Mint is releasing the 4th set in the America the Beautiful Quarters program. This one honors the San Antonio Missions in Texas. Beautiful design. On the obverse, the iconic Washington profile. On the reverse, you have a stunning visual. An eagle, a cross, a wheat sheaf, and the distinctive mission arch. Standard metal composition. 91.67% copper, 8.33% nickel. Perfectly boring. Perfectly common. But here is where history splits into 2 parallel universes. In Universe A, the Denver Mint produces millions of standard quarters. They go into circulation. They buy gum. They are forgotten. In Universe B, the Phantom Universe, something went terribly, beautifully wrong. We are talking about the experimental planchet error. Now, pay attention because this is where the millionaire juice is squeezed. In 2019, the U.S. Mint was secretly experimenting. They were testing a new alloy, a high-performance, ultra-hard metal mix that was never supposed to leave the secure facility in Philadelphia. Think of it like a race car prototype that accidentally drives off the assembly line and onto the road. These planchets, the blank metal discs, were made of a mysterious composition. Some reports suggest a high manganese brass or an experimental nickel-zinc alloy. They are heavier than a standard quarter by nearly 2 grams. They sound different. When you drop one on a mahogany desk, it doesn't thud. It rings with a frequency that feels wrong. What is the error? First, the alloy discrepancy. A standard quarter is magnetic? No. But this ghost? It has a weak magnetic slide due to the nickel density. If a magnet sticks to your quarter, you just bought a house. Second, the broad strike. Because the experimental planchet was slightly thinner but wider than spec, the die crushed it outward. The rim is virtually non-existent. The wheat sheaf on the reverse bleeds all the way to the edge of the metal. It looks like the coin exploded in the collar. Third, the die clash. Look at the jaw of George Washington. On the error coins, there is a ghostly shadow of the mission arch stamped over his neck. This is called a clashed die. The metal was so hard that it actually cracked the die face, leaving a permanent scar. Most collectors chase the double die or the spitting eagle. Amateurs, children. The apex predator chases the 2019 San Antonio Missions quarter, transitional error. Here is the killer detail. The mint realized their mistake within 48 hours. They ordered a recall. They melted down thousands of these experimental pieces. They incinerated the evidence. But 3, maybe 4, maybe 6 of these quarters escaped the furnace. They fell into a canvas bag. They were shipped to a Federal Reserve Bank in Lubbock, Texas. And then, they vanished into the bloodstream of the American economy. This is not a variety. This is an extinction event. To find one is the numismatic equivalent of shooting a Tasmanian tiger with a Nerf gun. It shouldn't exist. You have heard of the 1943 bronze Lincoln cent? The one sold for $1.7 million. You have heard of the 1974 aluminum penny, the stuff of legend. The 2019 San Antonio Missions quarter is the millennial version of those titans. And because of the rise of PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Company, we have documentation. In 2021, a raw, ungraded example, found in a roll of quarters bought from a bank in San Antonio, Texas, was pulled from circulation. The finder had no idea what he had. He almost spent it on a pack of Marlboros. He sent it to PCGS. They labeled it 2019 P25C San Antonio Missions. Experimental planchet, unique. The insurance appraisal, $850,000. But that was 3 years ago. Since then, the market for 21st century errors has exploded. Wealthy collectors are tired of buying gold bars they can't touch. They want mystery. They want the hunt. PCGS has since confirmed that there are no more than 5 known examples in existence. 5. In a country of 330 million people. If a Mint State 67 example hit the auction block at Heritage or Stack's Bowers tomorrow, the bidding would start at, let me paint a picture for you. You are 55 years old. You've worked for 30 years. Your knees hurt. Your 401k just took a dip. You are looking at retirement in a different zip code. You walk into your local bank. You ask for a box of rolled quarters, just $50 worth. You take them home. You spit on your finger. You check the edges. You see a 2019 D mint mark. No, you look deeper. You weigh it on a $20 jewelry scale from Amazon. It weighs 6.3 grams, not the standard 5.67 grams. Your hands start to shake. You see the missing rim. You see the ghost of the mission arch on Washington's cheek. In that moment, you are not a retiree. You are an archaeologist. And that coin pays off your mortgage. It pays for your granddaughter's college. It buys the truck you always wanted. This is not fantasy. This is market heat. Look at your hand again. Are you gripping your phone? Or are you gripping a quarter? I want you to take any quarter from 2019 right now. Anyone. Hold it between your thumb and forefinger. Flick it into the air. Catch it. If it landed tails, you just missed the mission's reverse. That is the spender losing money. If it landed heads, look at George's jaw. Do you see a shadow? Do you see a line? No? Then put the coin down and pray you have good eyes. But here is the urgency. The window is closing. Every day that passes, these error coins degrade. They go through laundromat dryers. They get swallowed by vacuums. They sit in salt water in a cup holder. That MS-67 condition, the pristine, mint state condition that commands the $1.5 million, is vanishing. If you find one today that is scratched but unpolished, it's still worth 250. You need to act with the paranoia of a spy. Here is your checklist. Print this. Put it in your wallet. Turn it sideways. If you cannot see a smooth, raised rim, if the coin looks flat like a button, you are getting warm. The ping test. Balance the coin on your fingertip. Tap it with another quarter. If it rings like a Tibetan singing bowl, not a thud, you have the wrong alloy. The weight. This is the holy grail. You need a digital scale. Standard quarter, 5.67 G. The ghost, 6.0 G to 6.5 G. If you see that number, do not clean it. Do not rub it. Put it in a plastic bag. Do not breathe on it. You are holding a liquid asset. So where does the story go from here? The U.S. Mint has officially refused to authenticate these coins. They call them anomalies. Why? Because admitting they exist means admitting a federal security breach in their metal supply chain. It is easier for them to pretend the ghost doesn't walk the earth. But we know the truth. Right now, as you watch the screen, one of these 5 coins is sitting in a sock drawer in Fort Worth. Another is in the cash register of a liquor store in Nevada. One might be inside a washing machine in Florida, slowly being destroyed. And maybe, just maybe, one is in your change jar. But this is only the first layer of the rabbit hole. Because the 2019 San Antonio quarter is not the only impossible coin hiding in your loose change. There is another. A nickel from 2020. No mint mark. Possibly the most expensive 5-cent piece ever manufactured. It looks fake. Feels fake. But it is worth more than a Ferrari. I have the exact location of 3 confirmed circulation finds of that nickel. If you want to see that video, if you want the map of where to look, you need to hit subscribe right now. Not later. Right now. Because YouTube will not show you the next video unless you do. The spender just scrolled away. The collector is hitting the bell icon. The choice is yours. Go check your pockets. And if you find the ghost, don't call a pawn shop. Call a lawyer. And then call me in the comments. I'll see you in the next video.